Today, we're diving into a skill that's way more critical to a surveyor's success than any piece of equipment, and that's mastering professional client care. Let's get right into it. So, let me ask you a question. When you think of a surveyor, what's the first thing that pops in your head? A theodolite? Maybe a fancy GPS rover? What do you think is their single most important tool? Well, what if I told you it has absolutely nothing to do with measurements or machinery? The most powerful tool in any surveyor's arsenal is actually a professional skill, and it's one that forms the bedrock of every single successful project. And that brings us right here to our first section. What exactly is client care? We're about to redefine this whole concept, and by doing that, we're going to redefine your most important professional relationship.
Okay, so the official definition calls it the competency of meeting a client's brief and, handling the relationship professionally. That sounds pretty straightforward, right? But the real nuance, the idea that changes everything, is actually hidden in how we define that one little word, client. And here it is. This is the game changer. Your client is not just the person who signs the checks. It's every single stakeholder you have to deal with. We're talking statutory authorities like local councils or planning departments. We're talking community groups, contractors, literally anyone with a vested interest. Shifting your mindset to serve all of these groups, that's the real foundation of great client care. And listen, this isn't just some nice-to-have skill. This bigger view of client care is tied directly into the very core of your professional duties, your ethics, your rules of conduct. It's all about protecting everyone involved and really upholding the integrity of the whole profession. So, how do we actually put this into practice? Well, it all starts before the real work even kicks off, by laying a completely rock-solid project foundation. Seriously, think of this as the blueprint for a successful outcome. This slide just maps out that blueprint perfectly. You start by nailing down the client's actual objectives. Then you confirm the brief and the scope of work, leaving zero room for misunderstandings. Next up, you calculate your fees and put together a formal appointment document. And finally, number 5, you identify all of those stakeholders we were just talking about. Getting these 5 steps right from the get-go is your absolute best defense against problems later on. Okay, so the foundation is set, and the project is rolling. In this next phase, success really comes down to one thing: communication in action. And this just brilliantly shows the difference between doing it right and doing it wrong. On the left, you've got proactive systems, scheduled updates, clear channels for reporting, regular briefings. It's organized, it's controlled. Then on the right, you've got the reactive mess, waiting for angry phone calls, a jumble of ad hoc emails, and information getting trapped. You want to live on the left side of this chart, for sure. So what does that proactive communication actually look like day to day? Well, it means setting up formal systems from the very beginning. It's about issuing regular, totally transparent cost reports. It means actively talking with statutory authorities, not just waiting for them to chase you down. And it means preparing and presenting your proposals clearly to every single person who needs to see them. But of course, let's be real, no project is perfect. So our next section is all about navigating the messy realities of the job. Everything from handling complaints to actually measuring how well you're doing. I absolutely love this way of thinking about it. A complaint isn't a failure, it's a gift. It's a rare chance. When a stakeholder tells you something's wrong, they're giving you an opportunity to show how professional you are and maybe even turn your biggest critic into your biggest fan. So remember, the objective is not to be so perfect that you never get a complaint. That's just impossible. The true measure of a professional is having a clear, transparent, solid process for dealing with issues when they pop up. That's what builds real trust. And how do you actually know if you're succeeding? You've got to measure it. One of the best ways is by using key performance indicators, or KPIs. So, for example, you could set a target for a 95% client satisfaction score. That gives you a real, tangible goal to aim for, and a clear way to track your own professional growth. Okay, let's pull all of this together. Let's talk about how you can actually build this competency, how you can take these ideas from just theory and put them right into your day-to-day work. So here are the 3 big things to take away from all this. First, completely redefine who you think of as your client to include every single stakeholder. Second, really invest that upfront time in building a strong project foundation. It will save you so much trouble later. And third, measure your performance with things like KPIs to guide your growth. And that leaves us with one final question. And this one is for you to think about. When you look at your own work, whether it's your next big project or maybe an upcoming work placement, how are you going to consciously apply these principles to really raise your own standard of client care?